disability discrimination, unfair business practice, and constitutional violations. And we are challenging in this lawsuit the shockingly unsafe, unsanitary, discriminatory, and inhumane conditions of the 2 tent camps in the city's Orwellian-named Safe Sleeping Program. The plaintiffs, several of whom you will hear from today, are 8 people with disabilities, all with their own life stories. They are longtime residents of B-Lot and O-Lot that you can see glimpses of a sea of white tents over the horizon. Each of them is a victim of an affordable housing crisis, a shredded social safety net, and callous and short-sighted city policy that has failed to address skyrocketing rents while criminalizing those left behind. They live at the camps not out of choice. Sorry?
Pause for the play. It's been happening for 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Gonna have to.
Okay, great. They live at the camps not out of choice, but because there's no housing or no alternative indoor shelters available to them except for the inside of a jail cell. Let me describe some of the horrors there. The camps pose a fire hazard exacerbated by extreme overcrowding, with tents often only 2 feet apart or less. The close quarters and lack of privacy worsen the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and other psychiatric disabilities that the plaintiffs have. There is frequent rodent infestation, with rats and mice leaving their droppings everywhere and scratching and biting the residents. Showers are full of rust. The one disabled shower was broken for 2 months, causing serious health problems for disabled residents who had no way of staying clean. The 2 tiny meals per day provided to residents are grossly inadequate for maintaining life and health, and you can see some pictures of the meals here in back of me. And that's especially true for those who may be too ill or their disabilities make it impossible for them to leave the camp and supplement their diet. There's no safe place to store food away from rodents, and no access to refrigeration or ice for keeping perishables cold. Diabetics and other people with specific dietary needs are not accommodated, and there have been multiple instances of food poisoning. There is inadequate shade at the camps and no way of moderating temperatures inside the tents, with temperatures rising to 110 degrees during the hot time of the year. In the winter, it's no better. Residents freeze with no way of heating their tents, no place to get warm, and storms leave everything full of mold. People are desperate enough to light candles to stay warm, which already resulted in 1 fire. There is grossly inadequate security, with guards often absent from their posts, allowing unvetted individuals, some of whom may be violent criminals, to roam freely. People using walkers and wheelchairs have a difficult time accessing the common areas. And entering and exiting the camps are very difficult due to the rough, Entering and exiting the camp is very difficult due to the rough, uneven terrain, which causes pain and aggravates people's physical disabilities. Management at the camps has run roughshod over the rights of residents, especially those with disabilities. Requests for reasonable accommodation are denied or delayed, mocked, or ignored. Retaliatory threats and actions for asserting one's rights are commonplace. Residents are terminated or suspended without opportunity for a hearing for minor rule violations, leaving them again vulnerable to police harassment, confiscation of their belongings, and arrest. Belongings have been confiscated and disposed of without a reasonable opportunity to retrieve them. Basically, it's the wild, wild west out there. The appalling living conditions imposed on the plaintiffs and the other residents of the camps, if done to dogs and cats at a kennel, would lead to a public outcry and the shutting down of the facility. Perhaps there would even be some jail time. Here it is our fellow human beings that have been treated this way. Why do we tolerate this? The bottom line is the city and its contracted agencies cannot force low-income San Diegans to live in government-sponsored camps under substandard conditions at the risk of their health and very lives. The defendants also cannot continue to disregard with impunity the civil rights of people with disabilities under the law. Our plaintiffs, in an act of collective courage, have said, enough. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Genevieve Jones-Wright, founding... Oh, she's here. Ah, okay. I'd like to introduce Genevieve Jones-Wright, founding executive director of Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, MOGO, and a member of the plaintiff's attorneys team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Genevieve Jones-Wright. I'm the founding executive director of Community Advocates for Just and Moral Governance, or MOGO. Before we proceed any further and before anyone else says anything, including myself, I want us to all take a moment of silence in memory of Dominique Peterkin, who passed away in one of these lots that we're talking about on August 15th. I also want to remember the other at least dozen souls that have lost their lives in these death camps. So can you join me, please, in a moment of silence to remember them and let their memory be a reminder of why we are here today. I will admit that I'm very emotional this morning. The weight of this lawsuit, the weight of what it means for us to stand here today with our clients. 8 unhoused people who are being subjected to some of the most deplorable conditions any human can imagine. They are placed in starvation tents. They are malnourished. They are not cared for. They are not treated with dignity. But they're more than just unhoused people. They are people. They are people who have served our country admirably. One of our clients is a Marine veteran. And this is how our city treats men and women who are worthy of dignity, who have fought for our country. Our clients are former paralegals. They're cashiers. There are people with families who love them. And they're in a no-win situation. You look down at this lot behind us and you see how closely spaced together those tents are. And we talk about rat infestations. both dead and alive. They're subjecting people to live with rats, maggots in their food. I want you all to take a look at some of the pictures that we have blown up here. It will blow your mind that they would attempt to tell us that there's anything safe about these camps. They are death camps. Our clients don't have any real choice because the city is not offering solutions. The city is not helping them navigate to permanent housing. The city is subjecting them to the most harsh conditions under the threat of being pursued, chased, harassed, stalked by the police if they don't submit to being in these camps. So let us understand very clearly that this is a no-win situation. Our city's failed leadership needs to do better. We are here to put them on notice with this lawsuit that if they don't do better, we will make them do better, and we will make them do better every single time. We're standing here with our clients, but there are so many other community members who live in these lots today. Can you just say your name if you're standing with us and you live in these lots?
Brenda.
Jason.
Brenda.
Jason Indy.
William.
And they're standing here with us today because this lawsuit is more than just about our clients. It's about all of you. It is about every single San Diegan who is being forced and made to live in these deplorable conditions. So I want to thank our clients for having the courage to sign their names to the complaint. I want to thank all of our other neighbors who have come today to stand with us and who have said, I want to join the lawsuit. I know there are many others like you. I want to thank the media for coming out to cover this story because truly, this is an important story that must be told. We can no longer allow for these false narratives to be placed out into our community and for people to think that the city actually cares about unhoused people. It is time for us to take control of the narrative and expose what is really happening. Mothers who are not safe enough to bathe in these camps. Women who are being harassed by the staff who is paid to protect them. That is what's happening in these camps. They don't do the safety monitoring checks that they are paid to do, that they're supposed to do. And what's worse is that the city won't even take responsibility because it's too busy pointing the finger at an agency that they contracted with. They're saying it's not us. Oh, it is you. And it's you, Mayor Gloria. It is you, failed leadership at City Hall. You've made this decision. So we stand here, and as Ann Maneshi the Great said, we say no more. No more. You can't treat people like this. Thank you all.
Next, I'd like to introduce Liz Grumet, a civil rights attorney and member of the plaintiff's attorney team.
Thank you, Ann. This case is very near and dear to my heart. My brother Paul is an amazing man with Down syndrome who inspired me to go to law school to expand the rights of individuals with disabilities. 18 years ago, I was Ann Maneshi, our fearless leader's law clerk at Disability Rights California as a new law student and a budding attorney. And one of my first cases was representing an unhoused woman who had disabilities named Ruby, an amazing woman who was being relentlessly ticketed by officers in downtown San Diego. This case feels full circle to me in my life. I'm so grateful to be on this team of fierce advocates. And I'm especially proud and grateful to be representing a group of amazing, multifaceted people with wonderful stories and rich lives who've just found themselves in a bad situation with no help until now. I wish I could say the situation for unhoused individuals in San Diego has improved over the last 20 years. But it has only gotten worse. Especially individuals with disabilities are facing challenges every day that most of us cannot even fathom. The laws punishing individuals who are homeless have gotten more restrictive, limiting where these individuals can go, where they can stay, where they can put their things down. Yet housing has gotten even more scarce. Our clients have unique and incredible backgrounds, but found themselves at the encampment when life knocked them down too many times to get back up on their own. Each has done their due diligence, trying to advocate for their rights as individuals with disabilities within the encampment, trying to obtain reasonable accommodations and basic human dignity to no avail. Our clients deserve better. All of the residents at the encampment deserve better. All of the individuals in San Diego who are unhoused or facing homelessness deserve better. These are individuals whose rights have been violated. They deserve better. This case is not about money. It's about improving the system and changing the system and reminding the defendants that these people have rights, and those rights have to be protected. The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable citizens. Let's do better.
It's my pleasure to introduce Colleen Cusack, who is a criminal defense attorney who I've worked with on homeless issues for many years, and she's a community leader. She's with the San Diego Housing Emergency Alliance. Welcome, Colleen.
Welcome. I want to thank everybody who showed up in tribute to what has happened here. Those who have spoken before me speak out of grief and anger, and I'm here out of happiness that finally something is being done to address the utter inhumanity that's occurring with our tax dollars. My name is Colleen Cusack. I am a criminal defense attorney. I have been representing homeless individuals pro bono to fight the unjust laws and to right the scales of justice. And since this camp has opened, the stories that I've talked to clients, I've talked to folks who have worked in this facility, I've talked to city leaders, and what I was hearing and what they were telling me and what was happening there was heartbreaking, was trauma-inducing for me to witness. And so much so we invited international scrutiny and attention. We invited the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Adequate Housing here to San Diego. And our mayor, he didn't have time to meet with him during his 3-day visit. But the rapporteur had time was able to visit this tent camp, 20th and B. Actually, he visited both sides, and he was absolutely outraged at what he witnessed. It didn't even violate the standards for a refugee camp under United Nations protocols. He said they were too close together. The sanitation issues and the rats. So this isn't a situation where the city turned a blind eye to what was going on. They acknowledged it. They said, yeah, we know we have a rat problem, but it's outdoors. What can we do? Well, you could have given them tents that had bottoms on them so that they could have protected themselves and not had rats running all over their heads all night long. Instead, you gave them ice fishing tents without a bottom. And they had holes at the top of the tents. And even if they had tents that had bottoms, you wouldn't let them use it because you wanted uniformity for the aesthetics. And you wouldn't let them cover that hole at the top that was designed to let smoke exit when it was used as an ice fishing tent. You wouldn't let them cover that with the tarp. So instead, their belongings were completely ruined during the flooding that came. In anticipation of the flooding, because they built this camp on a known flood zone, in anticipation, they built wooden platforms to raise the tents with foam underneath. Well, the wooden platforms were painted, and mind you, this was in anticipation of flooding, but they were never sealed to protect them from water. So as soon as the first rains came, the mold began to grow. And this is the floor of their home. This is where the city put them. They also put foam underneath these platforms to raise them. And that foam made excellent little homes to make baby rats and raise rat families. And so all of the choices the city made at all of the junctures in this process have been to choose cruelty and trauma over help and service. And we need to refocus the attention. This could have served as a wonderful option for folks who had little to no options. But instead it was used to hide and to hurt. So we're here to help right some wrongs, get some attention, fix this, because I don't want my tax dollars going to pay for this cruel place. So I want to thank Ann Menashe. I want to thank Genevieve Jones-Wright and Mogo and all of the attorneys that are coming together to fight the city and right the wrongs, because nobody else has done so. So thank you. No more.
I'd like to introduce Martha Sullivan. Is she here? Martha? Is Martha here? Where'd she go?
She is here.
Yes, Martha. No, she doesn't want to. Well, let me acknowledge Martha Sullivan is a tremendous leader for homeless people in the city. I've had the pleasure to work with, and is an inspiration to all of us. And Rafael, I'd like to introduce Rafael Batista. He's an executive director of the San Diego Tenants United, which is the local tenants union, and is a veteran of the struggle for affordable housing. Thank you.
Can we please get a round of applause for the attorneys? And also a round of applause for the courageous plaintiffs that we have here. Thank you all. This is very important. It's important to understand that Homelessness doesn't just happen to people, right? As the director of the San Diego Tenants Union, we've seen how countless number of people have been forced into homelessness, displaced into homelessness. The city accommodates developers, landlords, and favors the powerful. We've seen opposition to rent control, and we've seen what the powerful interests have done to San Diego. In the last 20 years, the housing crisis has worsened intentionally. It has been developers who have been owning our politicians for this entirety of time, from Jennifer Lazar to Tony Atkins, controlling Todd Gloria's decisions on how they implement policy. As advocates, we've called out every single step of the way how these tents were not a solution, how the fact that people are being criminalized for falling into homelessness is immoral, it's unethical, it's a crime against humanity. And the next steps following these tent, camps are mental facilities, psych wards, and people act as if this is some type of progress, as if this is acceptable in a developed society, in an advanced society, so-called, right? How do we justify the fact that we have our neighbors living on the side of the street, living in these camps with, no autonomy, having to depend on everything that, they're mandated to do to be able to stay in these places? This is unbearable living conditions. What has been described here, I'm sure no one would agree that you or anyone should be living in those conditions. These are our neighbors, these are brothers, sisters, these are family. So disregarding people or trying to minimize people as if they don't matter is reflective of who we are. Because ultimately, in the future, when we're judged by history, they're going to say we were a great nation that had the most prosperous society, but we had countless numbers of people living in the streets, unnecessarily living in the streets. There's hundreds of billions of dollars out there allocated towards war, allocated towards genocide, when the people here are starving for dignity, starving for respect, having to live with rats, and we all know this is unacceptable. So, this is not just a demand, this is not just a lawsuit, this is a reflection of the people that are supportive of each other, confronting the oppression, right? This is what we see as homelessness is we see it as a threat to all working class people. Homelessness is a threat to all working class people who can fall into homelessness by missing one rent payment, who can fall into homelessness because Blackstone or BlackRock took over their properties and decided they want to displace them for more profits, right? And a legal system that is catered to the rich. When you have vulnerable people that are constantly being oppressed, and you have a system that is not responsive to the needs of the people, we want to make sure that, the people that are strongest standing up for their rights are supported. And we encourage this. We encourage more people to stand up and fight against what's wrong, fight against what's unjust and what's immoral. We see this happening too much now. We see it happening with the raids, with the concentration camps that people are being forced into. And we know that this is to serve the benefit of the rich. And we can point those people out. The rich have names. We know who's benefiting from these people's exploitation, from our exploitation. So it's time we change that. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce the real heroes. It's my pleasure to introduce the real heroes of the story who have decided to stand up for their humanity and their human rights and dignity and are fighting back. I'm really proud to introduce them. First is Jeff Bradley.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Bradley. I'd just like to say we recognize and appreciate all the efforts and everything that provided by the shelter. However, improvements are necessary if this program is truly to serve this purpose. The OLAT location at Balboa Park does not provide safe and effective cooling and heating solutions. Shade and weather protection during hotter months. Regular pest control to maintain sanitary conditions. And greater attention to environmental health impacts from the near freeways, airplanes overhead, and dirt foundations at OLAT. That's all. Thank you.
Next is Karen Abood. No, she passes. Okay, Laura Zaletta.
My name's Laura. I'm one of the plaintiffs.
Speak out.
I'm one of the plaintiffs. I'm a little nervous. I wasn't expecting I was going to have to talk. The conditions there are deplorable for anybody with a disability. The ADA shower was out for 2 months, and I ended up getting sores and infections because I couldn't bathe properly. It took me calling the health department, and the day after Christmas is when our showers, but for 2 months, we couldn't, we had to use cold water to bathe because it was in the wintertime. The rats, my cat has gotten sick because of the rats, or the mice are carrying diseases and they're poisoning the mice, and our pets are getting sick. Something has to be done about these places. At times I felt I was safer sleeping on the street than I am in there. That's all I have to say.
Next, I'd like to introduce Liam Burton.
Hi, my name is Liam Burton. I'm a full-time volunteer. I'm a peer support specialist. I'm a researcher, observer, analytic, and investigator as well. I also am an executive director of a nonprofit that helps with education, housing, and health. I have fallen on hardships and ended up living at B-Lot. Since I have been there, I've seen so much. Sorry, there's a plane. I have seen so much hatred towards the homeless community. I've seen the staff at these that oversee these programs literally belittle individuals, treat them as if they are cattle, children. They're completely disrespectful. They literally swear at them, so on and so forth. It's disgusting. They do serve you inadequate food. Half the time it's raw. It used to not be that way, but they got rid of an individual who actually knew how to do their job. There's a lot of mistreatment by the staff, mainly their site patrol, towards the participants, treating them as if they are lesser than human. That's wrong. I had enough of it. I reached out to Ann Minash. Thank you. She has been more than helpful and great. Thank you guys.
Next, I'd like to introduce Timothy Allen. Mr. Allen.
I want to first of all thank the media for being here to be able to get this out to the...
Loud and slow.
I have ADHD. I'm diagnosed with several different things, and I have to remind myself to slow down when I talk, when I get excited. I'm 55 years old. I never thought I'd be in this position in my life today. It's really bad for me at this point. I had a really good job as a machine operator. My company moved to Mexico and I lost my job. And everything just spiraled out of control from there. And I was put in a situation where literally, like they're talking about, forced to be in this place. I was with the O-Lot for a year. Then B-Lot as of recent for 7 months. No progress, no help. I don't feel any sense of entitlement whatsoever. I was just told that I was going to be helped with things when I came here because I need help to get these things done to be able to live normal and be okay. they violated my rights in several ways. Number one, with my emotional support pet. They came to me and told me they wanted me to get him neutered or I was going to be evicted. And I told them no, and they said that so be it. And if it wasn't for, and actually, the day of the eviction, when they called, the police were coming, everything, it was like, it was out of control. They basically came to me and told me, they said that just relax, don't pack your stuff, everything's fine, at least for now. We don't know about next week or the week after that or so on and so forth, but for now you're okay. And as of recently, as a month and a half ago, they did exit me without due process, immediate exit, with 2 hours to get out, or they're going to call the police on me for, as they said, disrespecting the curfew or violating the curfew and disrespecting staff. There's only 2 immediate exit violations that have in our contracts, and that's for violence and drugs. But they put me out, and what they've done is, I wasn't aware of it. I thought I was kicked out, so I was going to be able to get a referral and get in someplace else, and they didn't kick me out. They suspended me for 90 days with no service. So in other words, I'm on their list as being with them, but I'm not getting help from them. They threaten me every turn they see me because I have no place else to go but down here and out of the way to call the cops on me. And basically they made it so that I can't get anywhere else. I've got 2 referrals that were denied because they think I'm still with them. So I'm just left in limbo. Like last night, I just walked around all night trying to stay out of the way so I don't get arrested. I've got, the way it works is you get a verbal warning, then an infraction ticket, which I've already gotten, and then the misdemeanor ticket, and then you go to jail. So I'm like really up against it. My PTSD and my anxiety is out of control right now. They're really playing with my life. And up until now, I just felt it was just nothing could be done about it. But things are going to be okay, not just for myself, but in the inevitable, hopeful chances that these 2 companies lose their, these nonprofits lose their contracts. Somebody else come along better that can take care of the situation more soundly, more humane. Thank you.
Right there. Thank you, Tim. And finally, we have John Borja.
Hello everybody, my name is John Borja. Prior to Tent City, I was a cashier at 7-Eleven and a Rocket gas station. Then I ended up, I was homeless in my car for a long while, and I lost my car, and I ended up in Tent City after being on the street for about a month. So what I like to say is that all I want is things to get right, you know, with as far as what I'm concerned about is basically everything, but what I like to say is to make right is the responsibilities that they have on disabled members, you know, of Tent City, to be accommodated and treated like humans, like they would like to be treated as a human as well as we do. Also the diet that they feed us, it's not healthy for some of us, like such as myself. I'm diabetic, so it's very unhealthy food for me to eat. During the day I get lightheaded and dizzy, I could fall out, you know. On several occasions I had to call 911 to go to the emergency room. I just ask, you know, that they make everything right for us, that our members are, you know, tenants at Tent City. So that's basically what I gotta say. Thank you.
Everybody give a big hand to our heroes here who have the courage to stand up to injustice despite the risks. And there's been horrific retaliation, threats against anyone who's fought back. So this is an acts of extreme courage, and everyone's going to thank you for it. So thank you. Okay, so we have pictures here that people can look at. We have a few copies of the complaint, and I can send it to you when I get back. If you haven't gotten an electronic copy, and people may be available for interviews. It's up to you guys if you want to be interviewed individually. If you want to be interviewed individually, it's up to you. They may be available for interviews. So thank you so much for coming and for covering this important story.